beginning? What inspired the Southwest Housing exhibition? What inspired you to initiate it? And what is the primary goal of the exhibition? Okay. And what are the specific housing challenges that you envisage that the exhibition will address? So that's why I said it's like a three questions rolled into one.
Okay. Thank you very much once again. About 10 years ago, I was privileged to attend the UN Habitat Congress in Abu Dhabi. And what inspired me was when I saw the way the foreign companies and countries are promoting their housing economy potential. Then I thought of it that Southwest don't even have a brand that is promoting the potential of the housing economy, showing the world what the Southwest government are doing, and also promoting the potential investment opportunity in the real estate sector of Southwest. So that was what led to the Ibadan International Housing Exhibition then. And we picked Ibadan because Ibadan is a political headquarter of Southwest. You agree with me? So we started with Ibadan. But after some years, the participants, the policy makers and the industry chiefs, we had a communique at the meeting after the event, and they said, okay, this event the vision is bigger than having it in one center. So it should be a regional event. So this is the first edition of Southwest Housing Exhibition. Before now, it used to be Ibadan International Housing Exhibition. So what inspired me is the need to bridge the gap in the region to let the world see the economic potential of the Southwest housing sector, so that we can attract a lot of investors and we can show the world what the Southwest governors are doing in their states and promote individual businesses.
You said you went to Abu Dhabi and you saw what is happening in other climes. Now, in terms of
the UN Habitat Congress.
Yes. In terms of the housing exhibition in Nigeria, how does this exhibition, differ from other real estate events that we have, across the country?
Well, thank you very much once again. Southwest Housing Exhibition is a regional housing exhibition. It's different to the other housing exhibition we have in the country. I think the biggest in the country is the Abuja International. And on record, Ibadan International used to be the second. But with this integration, we are bringing the whole region together, because what we intend to do is to rotate the exhibition around the states. So we are going to be having the exhibition in different states annually.
Across Southwest.
Across Southwest, yes. So it's different because it's a regional exhibition where we have all the Southwest states policymakers, captains and doyens in the industry, and government officials converge in a place for 2 days to discuss the problems in the housing sector of the region, profile solutions, and we come up with a communique to define the next chapter. By doing this, it would enhance development of the sector. And we also expose a lot of, businesses in the region. We have it on record if you permit me to say it, few companies that came as an exhibitor at the Ibadan International Housing Exhibition, and they got a very high-profile partners during the exhibition that turned around their businesses. I can mention a few. Fortfield Furniture did the Empower classroom furnitures. Fortfield Furniture was an exhibitor at one of the edition, I think the fourth edition. That was where Fortfield Furniture signed the contract, and the office of the vice president gave them the contract to. So part of the way of promoting, businesses in the region, and that is just part of it. I mean, we've seen where state government, like Oyo State government, the former commissioner launched the CFO, the old CFO scheme was launched at the Ibadan International Housing Exhibition. And the people in the state have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with the people in power to ask questions and to tell them the challenges they are facing.
You've kind of mentioned the target audience, the different categories of target audience that's been expected, but maybe for the sake of repetition, I would like you to just be specific about the target audience that that the event is meant for.
Okay. We are targeting the intending homeowners, the property developers, the builders, professionals, captains and doyens in the industry, policymakers, government officials. Those are the people we are targeting, and foreign investors. We also, create room for foreign investors to come and showcase what they are doing and probably get a local partners that will lead the company in the country.
How do you plan to ensure that credible exhibitors are the only ones that get featured at the event, since it's quite open to a diverse audience?
Okay. So over the years, we have put a structure in place to select credible exhibitors and sponsors. And if you check our record, you see the categories of companies that have been consistent. Like Federal Mortgage Bank have been a very consistent sponsor of the event. And even when we have offers from companies, we'll do our due diligence to know how credible the company is before we allow them on the platform. So there is a system that we have put in place for that. That any company that they are meeting, doing business with, we have done our due diligence and we can assure them that they are reliable companies.
Okay. So based on your wide experience in the industry, I would like us to spend the next few minutes talking about the specific housing issues in Southwest.
Okay. Okay, let's just, I think housing deficit. The housing deficit in Southwest is alarming. The housing deficit has been on the rise right from the military days. For us to have a affordable housing system that is working, we need to solve the problem of artisan. There is huge artisan deficit in the region. So our organization is trying to put a structure, a training structure in place to train artisans all over the region.
You talked about the problem of artisans. Are we talking in terms of quantity or quality, or both?
Yeah, well, both. Do you realize that 50 to 60%, because we have the data, 50 to 60% of artisans that are operating in Southwest today are from Benin Republic, Togo, and all. Okay. So when you see most of the, I discovered that because I did the Empower classroom, junior classroom project. And, during that project, I realized that we don't have enough construction artisans. So that is part of the problem, for us to have a formidable, affordable housing project, we must fix the artisan problem. Now, secondly, is the building materials. So we are also looking at alternative building materials. For example, over the years, I traveled to South Asia to study how they build their homes. And I realized that they don't use our normal block and cement. So I came back and I tried one of the technology in Ibadan here, Olonda, which is cement plastered, treated bamboo with plastered cement. I built a 3-bedroom flat in Olonda, Ibadan here with plastered bamboo treated one. And then it cost me just 2.7 million naira, excluding the cost of the land. So can you imagine if we have that in numbers, in large quantity? Say that again?
For a 3-bedroom?
Yes. I did it. It's here in Olonda, Ibadan here. Also for, like I said, apart from this one, we have tried other technologies like the container technology, fully insulated. We tried it. I was the developer, part of the developer that did this Redeem Christian staff housing. And we built all those houses with container. Moving from there, we have tried fitted wood. Right now, we are doing a research on sawdust technology. We are still in the process. We are working on sawdust technology. So what am I trying to say? So apart from the exhibition and the conference, what the value Southwest Housing Exhibition brings to this region is beyond that, because we want, as a private sector player, to see how we can work with government to solve the housing deficit problem in the country.
Been at different forums where the issue of the Land Use Act was also mentioned as one of the challenges of mass housing, whatever, from the private sector. What's your view about that?
Well, I totally agree with you on that. The Land Use Act of 1978 is outdated, and we need to sit down, the professionals, the government, policy, everybody need to sit down on a table, and we need to have a holistic review of that Land Use Act. It's a major problem that is slowing down development in the region. The limited ownership tenure is part of the problem. Then this government outright control over the land need to be looked into. We have this law in this country that says government owns the land. So even when you have your CFO, government can come and revoke it. I have been a victim of that. So I totally agree with you. A lot of developers are struggling, apart from the financial challenge, because of the effect of this Land Use Act. Another factor is the processing of the documents, the slow pace of the process of the documentation. I have a particular project now. We've been on this project for about 4 months, 4 to 5 months now. We back and forth. Ministry of Land will request for this, access to, we'll give it to them. Another agency. Before you know it, this project this year will end without also achieving any meaningful milestone on the project. And this is a project that the minister is supposed to commission early next year. So this is part of the challenge that developers face all over the country. So I agree with you that land use act needs to be reviewed.
Okay. All right. So I think we've been able to identify three major issues now that are affecting the cost of housing. You've spoken about the expensive materials, the building materials. You've spoken about the deficit of artisans, and also the regulatory environment. You know, but from the consumers' side, how about financing?
Yeah, I agree that we have a major problem in financing our homes in the country, you know, and I have this principle of not. I don't believe in complaining. When I identify the problem, I think of how I can use my platform to fix the problem. So this is another major problem that we've been, you know, dealing with in the industry. But we are trying to work with the major mortgage agencies like the FHA, Federal Mortgage Bank, and family homes funds to see how we can think outside the box and come up with an innovative and flexible, practical, you know, way of, assessing mortgage.
So what exactly would that mean in specific terms for an average Nigerian that want to access you know, a mortgage to build a home?
I think we just need to change our approach to mortgage finance in the country. There is a huge market for mortgage in the middle class and the low class that nobody is. Our mortgage institutions are more or less financing the high-end guys in the country. And that is one of the reasons why they are struggling. So what they need to do is to come up with a package for the mechanics, for the pepper seller. It is doable. There is huge potential in that market that they are not exploring. So, like I said earlier, I am working with the heads of the mortgage, all the three top mortgage banks in the country. I am discussing with them, to see how things will change for good. That a mechanic can have a 10 years mortgage and there can be a balance, you know, in the requirement. And even we have to protect the banks too. So there's something we are coming up with. Probably, I'm not sure this particular edition of our event, maybe the subsequent one, by then we'll have finalized our the arrangement. Then we'll come up with a product paper that, you know, would give the middle class and the low class access to mortgage. Beyond that, I think the availability of the funds, you know, we can see that the economy is struggling. So part of what we are looking at is to source funds from the foreign countries for that purpose. But there's a lot of discussion on the ground for that. And I can assure everybody that Southwest Housing Exhibition is going to play a major role in fixing the bottlenecks in the assessing mortgage in the region going forward.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Let's focus now on the developers. They play a major role. They are a key factor in the housing sector. And a number of them do complain that, you know, that every developer is a local government in his or her own right, because you want to do a development, you need to do road, you need to supply water, you need to fix electricity, and yeah. To what extent does this affect the cost of housing, and is this part of the discussion that will feature at the exhibition?
That is a very good question. See, that is one of the reasons why housing is very expensive, assessing housing in this country. Now, the developers you talked about, can you imagine if the government decide to partner with developers and commit the land, donate the land as equity contribution free? If the cost of land, if you take out the cost of land from the cost of your construction, it will definitely bring down the cost of the land. Like, okay, I was discussing with a permanent secretary of a particular state recently, and I mean, I told the person that, look, this is not rocket science. If you give me the land, on a one plot of land, we can erect a building that will accommodate at least minimum of 8 people. So we'll share the cost. And if the cost of land is out of it, I mean, that's an equity contribution from the government. Even it comes with economic value to the states. But I think this is just a leadership. We have to change our faculty of thinking. You will not blame the developers because the developers is not being regulated. The developer is not being regulated. He buys the land, he uses money to finance or probably get a loan to build, and he will tell you that, look, this is how much I'm going to sell my property. If you cannot afford, you can, But if government is involved and government tell him, look, I will give you this land, but this is the benchmark. I don't want you to go beyond this. I mean, the developers will work with that principle, and before you know it. So as of today, I agree with you that our developers are more or less, what do you call them again? Local government chairmen in their own vicinity, because they are the one. Just what government need to do is to donate the land as equity contribution, then put infrastructure. For example, look at our suburbs. We need to decongest the city. There is a lot of land in the suburbs. The government should put infrastructures in those suburbs. You will see that people will be coming from suburbs, to work in the city. Then the city will be decongested. That is the problem we are having in Lagos today. Everybody wants to live inside the city. And they don't even mind if you are living in a room. And then the cost is above the roof. So Lagos State government is trying to do something now. You can see the development in Ekpe, Ikorodu, Badagry. Now they are putting infrastructures in the suburbs. They are developing the suburbs, and they are encouraging developers to come and partner. If they can keep up with that, and other states government can, follow that direction, we will fix the problem. Then they will be able to checkmate the developers and regulate what they are doing. There is nobody that is regulating what they are doing in this country today. That is my opinion.
Promoting a project called Ibadan Green City, which stands like an interplay of technology and sustainable living. Okay, so I want to ask, what role will technology play in the future of housing in Southwest, and what's the impact of this on urban development?
Very good question. Technology will drive housing sector in the next future. In fact, it is happening now. If we are talking of reducing cost of building, we need to also consider technology. You see the climate change, what we're experiencing globally now. I mean, everybody are thinking outside the box. They are, changing. They are moving away from the orthodox way of construction and orthodox way of doing business. They are embracing the new era, which is the technology era. In South Asia, I saw where robots is working as a bricklayer. Technology would definitely play a major role in the future real estate globally. So every developers or every players in the industry must embrace this reality. Now, talking about Ibadan Green City, that is what we are trying to achieve with the Ibadan Green City project. I believe by the time we finish, it's going to be the first 100% smart estates in Africa. I have done my research and I see that most of the smart estates or green estates that that we have in this country and other part of Africa, they are not 100% smart estate. In Ibadan Green City, we don't intend to have a NEPA light there. Eco-friendly living. We have our vegetable gardens, bicycle lane, solar powered, even the roof, green roofs, like we are discussing with a company in Switzerland that will bring a wind technology where we generate our electricity through the wind, and the residents will buy, we'll sell coins to them, and the price is going to be far, far lower to the PHCN price.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you a question that will be a bit philosophical, and that is the dichotomy between housing as a social issue or as an investment or as a private property. So I would like to discuss, to share your view.
Okay, thank you. That is a very brilliant question. As a businessman, I want to have the balance, right? It should be mixed, but it still, lead us to this lack of regulation. There's nobody regulating what they are doing, because if a property developer acquires the land and he wants to see, even when the town planner give him a drawing that 40% of the land should be allocated for infrastructure, recreation center and all, he will say no. I can still get so numbers of plots or houses. So I would just rather, minimize it and let's have more buildings. And that is not, it is not proper. So government should look into that urgently. It's a major epidemic. Now let's look at the Festac. I grew up in Festac, and recently I went to Festac. All the parks where we play football, where we used to have swimming pool, all the parks have been converted into homes. No. I was shocked. There is no recreation center. There is another estate in Lekki. So even though the businessman wants, the investor wants to recover, his capital, and the purpose of investing your money is to make money, but you have to consider the way of living, the how will I put it, the proper standard of living of the people that are going to be living there. Our regulatory agencies are not doing their job. That should not happen. I can tell you that 98% of real estate projects all over the region are not considering recreation centers. All those amenities are not. That is why you see, even drainage in some estates. Some estates don't even consider drainage. So it still brings us back to lack of regulation. In my go ahead.
You spoke earlier about using bamboo, okay, and a few days ago also we were at the research exhibition of University of Ibadan, and we saw a number of research initiatives, you know, that are eco-friendly, you know, on eco-friendly building materials. Yeah, what's the linkage between the housing industry in Nigeria and the research institutions?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. It's still part of the system problem. And that is why private sectors need to wake up. We should stop relying on government to drive the economy. In the Western world, the private sectors drives the economy. But in Nigeria, we rely on government 100%. Now, there is a lot of eco-friendly. I have personally, done my research, and I have a team that I've put together. There is a lot of eco-friendly materials that can be used to achieve affordable and sustainable houses. Like, look at the north. They have the clay technology. Look at what in the olden days, look at what the construction, they are still solid. I was in the north recently. I saw most of the old structures. They are solid. So most of our research institutes are not being maximized. And recently I engaged some professors. Some of them, I've invited them to come and work with me, like Professor Akonde from Futmina. I've invited him, Professor Bala, the VC, ABU, Engineer Olaoye. I'm bringing all of them together because, I don't believe that we should continue to complain. We are not maximizing our research institute. Those reports are there, but nobody is going there to take any step. They would, spend years on a particular research and come up with a report, and they would dump it at the library. Nobody is using it. That is the reason why everybody is building with block and cement. If we have maximized all this information, the research information, we are not going to be where we are today. So private sectors should take this as a responsibility to work with government. And, well, some of them also complain about finance, that they don't get enough funding to carry out the research. Well, it's still because we depend 100% on government. I am not saying government should not play its role, but as a private sector, as an individual, what is your own responsibility? What are you doing? You are government in your own capacity. A professor should see how he can make his own personal contribution. See it as a responsibility, not waiting 100%, for the government to come and fund. The private sector's players too should play their role. Like I told you, that we are working on few technologies. One of them is sawdust. We have put this sawdust in the water for some months now, and we are observing. By the end of maybe by January 30, we should bring it out. Now, look at it. They would come up with their report on it. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is those sawdust that have been wasted at the sawmill, can be used for housing development. What I'm telling you now, I am using my personal resources. I traveled to most of these South Asian countries to see how they are building their homes with bamboo, how they do the treatment. I know the federal government says there is no fund, there is no money to fund research. So are we not going to sit down and say, okay, the federal government is not ready to finance it, we will not provide affordable housing options for our people? All of us should take that as a responsibility. We should change our mindset about leadership, our mindset about our country, for this country to move forward. We dump everything at the doorstep of the government. We put so much burden on government.
Right, thank you. Let's spend the next few minutes talking about the post-exhibition targets. Okay, how will the exhibition lead to tangible outcomes? We've spoken extensively about the challenges in the housing sector.
Definitely, Southwest Housing Exhibition is going to bring value to the people of Southwest and will be instrumental in solving most of the problems in the industry. We have come up with few initiatives that will address the housing deficits in the region. One of the initiatives is the National Home and Land Raffle. We intend to give the people in the middle class citizen and the low class citizen, the opportunity to become home owners. Now, we also talked about, okay, if after they win the land and they own it, and how will they build with their, weak income? So we are also working with some partners on how we can have affordable cities all over the nation. Now, we have talked about the artisan deficit, how we can train our artisan and also use them to construct those houses as an equity contribution for them to become home owners. All these things, is our own little way of contributing to solving the problem in the industry. Beyond that, at the conference, we profile solutions. Then at the end of the event, we'll come up with a communique, which we are going to present to the people in government, the policymakers, and all the stakeholders on the way forward on how to move the region housing sector forward.
Okay, so one last question.
What's part of what Southwest Housing Exhibition will do for the people of the region?
Of the region, all right. Okay, that's fine. One last question, sir. With your extensive experience in the real estate industry, what advice will
a solution? They should not politicize whatever they are doing, because in Nigeria today we seem to politicize everything. The stakeholders, that everybody in the country look up to them in whichever capacity they are operating. They have to see themselves as a partner to government. They have to take reports serious, take research, maximize the potentials of research institute. They have to think outside the box to come up with a solution to the problem in the industry for us to be able to move forward. We cannot continue the way, we cannot continue with this present approach to things if we want to move forward. For us to move forward, we need to change the way we think. Jakonde is a governor, but that is a governor that's left a mark in the industry. Unfortunately, nobody has been able to take up. Yeah, we have the likes of Baba Awolowo too. the cocoa house you see today, those are real estate projects from Babawolowo. Look at this, the cement company. Look at all the major real estate in Ibadan. Look at the legacy Babawolowo left. But can we say that of our leaders today? Okay, let's even look at our policymakers we talked about. There should be one person in the housing industry that we can say, okay, when so person was there, this is what he did. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to lock ourselves in the rooms and talk sense. That look, you are going to be on this table temporarily. You're not going to be here forever. And whatever you do, that is what people will say when you have gone. That is my advice for the policymakers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And I wish you all the best in the event. We will be there to support you and do everything in our capacity to ensure that it becomes a success. Okay. Thank you very much for coming on Development Discourse.
Thank you for having me.